Welcome to Pigeon River Farm, doing farming right. I'm Robert Brown, the owner of Pigeon River Farm. Thank you for viewing. Good evening. In tonight's episode, we're going to talk about a new acquisition we've made here at the farm. About a product to solve a problem. One of the problems that we're always been dealing with for years and years is the grass is growing up in the fence line and pulling the power down on the electric fence. It's been a significant problem. I've tried everything imaginable. We do not use chemicals, so Roundup was off the table, or any other herbicides, so we decided that we'd do it mechanically. Well, mechanically led to weed whackers and shears and size and everything imaginable. A lot of work and no results. Basically, most of the time you gave up. So we did a lot of research, and we ended up purchasing a product from the DR Power Company. They make a 3-point mounted trimmer mower, and so it's basically a weed whacker that's driven by a 3-point that's on a 3-point hitch and driven by the PTO. Purchased it over the winter time, and I started utilizing it this spring. So I'm going to give you the good news and the bad news. The good news is actually it worked really well. Happy with the performance of the unit. It cleaned up the fence lines. It was a fraction of the amount of effort we had to put in before. Allowed the power to come back into the fencing system. Respectively, that allowed more security even with the interior fences because more power was applied. And so the wandering goats were commonly our problem. We never had any animals actually getting outside of the main exterior fences, but sometimes the power would get dragged down, especially you get later into July, August when the weeds get high, get wet mornings, power would be way down. So interior fences often weren't quite putting out the zap they needed, and we were having animals compromising interior fences. So with the 3-point weed whacker there, or 3-point trimmer, we managed to go around the fields, as you can see here, and very effectively clean up. I mean, it runs it right down. It takes on thistles. One of my arch enemies is thistles, and thistles and fence lines are one of the biggest problems because if they're in the interior, the goats do a pretty darn good job of taking care of them. Not always, and there's a few tricks with that. We've sprayed a little molasses on them and such, and so the goats will typically handle it, and sometimes even the cattle. But what we ran into is when they grow up in the fence line, they're not manually is the only option you have. With the weed whacker, we found that it makes short work of them, works real good. That's all the good news. The bad news is we were a little disappointed with I'd have to say more the engineering, and it was a minor flaw, but it was a significant flaw to us. On a couple occasions, while I was trimming, I caught our bottom. We have a main bottom ground wire, and we caught it a couple times, and I thought, oh, this is not really good. I have to really, really be careful. Well, it's hard to be careful when you're running that close. When you're running that close to the fence line, this is high tensile, about 8 inches or so off the ground. It's 200,000 psi fence line, so it's very stout wire, very strong, and I'm glad it was so strong because we ended up managing to hook the I guess we'd call the end frame of the trimmer onto the fence, and it ultimately sheared it off. It broke the casting, and it was kind of a thin casting. I guess I'm grateful it was a thin casting because it didn't take out the fence, and I had to go out and repair it, and that can be quite a situation. Well, anyways, the flaw was there. I did do a temporary repair on it, and managed to put it back together so I could utilize it in a temporary condition without welding it. I was going to contact the company, wanted to keep going. I took a file and I shaved off the edges where you see here where it caught the wire, and by doing that it solved the problem, but it was still broken. So I contacted the company. There was a little bit of time back and forth, but ultimately they were good on it, and they sent me all new mechanical hardware. So I got a whole bearing assembly housing that I installed, and you can see here it's being installed, but it was no better than the original from a design standpoint. So it would have caught the wire again. So I simply filed off the corners at a 45-degree angle. I installed it, and now, as you can see, I'm illustrating, the wire would simply just slide over the top like it should in the first place. So if you happen to own one of these, or you purchase one into the future, I would say it's a good product, except I see one design flaw in it. I have talked to their tech support people. I hope maybe they'll be aware of this moving forward, but as of this point here, this is August, beginning of August 2021, so hopefully maybe they will make a change. So my recommendation is a plus on the product because it really solves a problem. It was affordable. I guess in closing, wish the company DR would have put a little bit more quality into it. As a farmer, I need the highest quality product possible. I don't mind spending a little extra money if I'm for sure to get the quality I'm looking for. But from a functionality standpoint, I would definitely say it is a good buy. So I thank you very much and have a great evening.